Okay, everybody, or maybe good morning or good evening, depending on your location. And welcome to this very special session dedicated to Ampere, from the grid scientist to the Quantic unit. My name is Philippe Ponchon. I am member of the Society of Friends of André-Marie Ampere and will be the convener for this session. This e-conference takes place in the frame of the Ampere 2020 project. This Ampere 2020 project celebrates the 200th anniversary of the discovery of electrodynamics and aims also to honor the memory of the great scientist. The project consists of a set of ceremonies and public events like conferences, festival, temporary exhibition, days on profession of electricity sectors, and much more. And the complete program can be viewed and downloaded from our project website, ampere2020.fr. Ampere 2020 is co-organized by two associations, SEE, the French Electricity, Electronics and Information and Communication Technology Society, and the SAMA, the Society of Friends of André-Marie Ampere. This project, Ampere 2020, is under the high patronage of the French Minister for the Higher Education, Research and Innovation, and is under the guidance of a national committee, which is sponsored by Mr. Gérard Mourou, the 2018 Nobel Prize in Physics. This e-conference has been possible thanks to the kind support of the SIGRE organization, and the complete Ampere 2020 project has been made possible by the support of our numerous private sponsors. Once again, thanks to all of them. The Society of Friends of André-Marie Ampere managed the rural property of Ampere's family, where André-Marie grew up. The oldest parts of the building are dated on half of the 18th century. It is nowadays a museum of electricity located 14 kilometers from the city center of Lyon. So in this museum, you can see elements about the life and the works of André-Marie Ampere as scientist and philosopher. You can see the scientific and industrial developments of the electricity. Also the experiments set up by André-Marie Ampere in the field of electrodynamics. And finally, besides the visit, the museum organized numerous electricity workshop, discovery workshop for young people. To know more about this museum, please consult the website amperemusée.fr. Now to come back to the agenda of this session. So after this short introduction, we will see digital animation. 1820, Ampere discovers electrodynamics, 3-minute duration. Then we will have a conference on the great André-Marie Ampere by Cyril Verde. Cyril Verde is professor of physics at Stanislas College in Paris. He is a research fellow at the Paris Observatory, doctor of philosophy in science and technology. Unfortunately, Mr. Verde is not presently available. Unfortunately, again, we lost yesterday the record of this conference. And so I made a new record on this basis yesterday in an emergency mode, and we apologize for this last minute change. Then we'll have a very short interlude, 1.5 minutes, with the teaser of a movie on Ampere's life and Ampere's house. The 20 minutes complete version has been realized for Ampere 2020 project, but is only available at time in French. Then we will continue with a conference on the unit of electric current with its recent definition and the practical way to realize it using quantum phenomena. It will be presented by Mr. Wilfried Poirier. Mr. Poirier is research scientist at LNI, the French National Laboratory of Metrology and Tests. Then we should have time for a few questions and answers. I remind you that you need to submit a written question using the GoToWebinar application, using the bar question of the menu on the right side of the screen, and that we will answer the question only at the end of the last contribution. With that, I wish you a nice session, and let's proceed.
It's 1820, and Ampère discovers the electromagnetics. André-Marie Ampère is the great scientist born in Lyon who discovered the electric current in 1820, the Newton of electricity, as the great physicist Maxwell had described it. At that time, electricity is still very little known and has no practical application. We know about electrical charges, those obtained by rubbing an amber or glass stick that attracts straw fetuses, the cloud that produces lightning, those created by combining two metals in a conductive liquid. It is the battery the Italian Volta invented shortly before. We also know magnets like this magnesia stone, natural iron oxide, which orients at the surface of the Earth in the needle of the compass, but we make no connection between electric charge and magnet. In 1819, the Danish physicist Ørsted brings a wire connected to a Volta battery close to a magnetic mobile needle. Immediately, the needle deflects and leaves the direction of the pole. On September the 11th, 1820, the experiment is reproduced at the Paris Academy of Sciences. For Ampère, who attends, it is a shock, the stroke of genius that will give birth to electrodynamics, the science of interactions between electric currents. A week later, he sets out his fundamental hypothesis on the existence of electric currents in magnets, including for Earth magnetism. Ampère announces that in the absence of Earth magnetism, the needle would orient perpendicularly to the wire, and it demonstrates this by inventing a magnetic needle called astatic. He highlights and characterizes the electrodynamic forces between conductors. Ampère shows that the magnetic needle deviates similarly all along the wire, even very far from the battery. This characteristic property of the circuit as a whole is a quantity, the electric current. He is the first to clearly distinguish the basic concepts of voltage and current. André-Marie imagines using this property to build an electric telegraph that will become reality with the invention of the Morse code. In 1881, the Congress of Electricians paid homage to him by naming amperes, the international current unit. Ampère shows that the two wires wound in turn, spirals or helices, behave exactly as two magnetic poles would. By placing with the physicist Arago a soft iron cylinder in the center of the helical wire, which he calls a solenoid, he discovers the temporary magnetization which is at the base of the electromagnet. Ampère also makes the rotation of a magnet around its axis, which already prefigures the electric motor. Finally, he defines the mathematical laws of interaction between two elementary conductors and deduces the formula for macroscopic conductors. This is the culmination in 1826 of his work on electrodynamics. Today, electrodynamics is present everywhere in the production and the use of electricity that enlightens us, nourishes, transports, cares for, and connects us.
So I hope that this video has been useful to remind you about electrodynamics, at least for most of you. So now let's consider the life of man, the great scientist, and the philosopher. This year, 2020, is the date for physicists to work on electricity. Because 200 years ago, exactly, André-Marie Ampère began working on a new subject for physicists, the union of electricity and magnetism. Today we say electromagnetism, but Ampère talked about electrodynamics. His works on this subject have been so impressive that we decided to give his name to the unit of electric current. But who is exactly André-Marie Ampère? He was born in 1775 in Lyon and grew up not far from there in the village of Polemieux, where the Ampère's family is established. He shows early a very pronounced intellectual activity and a prodigious memory. He was so eager to learn in general that when he was young he read the encyclopedia from start to finish. He never went to school and learned from the nature and from the books of his father's library with just the help of father's advices. A friend of his father taught him differential and integral calculation, and so he was able to undertake by himself at the age of 18 the reading of a recently published Mechanic Analytics from Lagrange. In 1793, his father, Jean-Jacques, became judge in Lyon and was swept away by the terror and forced to climb onto the scaffold. André-Marie got married in 1799 and he called his son Jean-Jacques like his father. To ensure the incomes, Ampère provides private lessons in mathematics and then found a position as physics and chemistry professor. It was during this period he wrote the mathematical consideration on game theory. Thanks to this text, Laplace recognized him a very good mathematician. In 1803, Ampère was appointed professor of mathematics at the Lycée of Lyon. But only 1 week after his first lesson, his wife died from a long illness. A few months later, Ampère creates the Christian Society, a small group where each member is invited to reflect on Christian faith. The same year, he was called in Paris to work at the École Polytechnique. In Paris, he frequents intellectual circles and salons like that of Madame de Récamier. He meets the philosopher Maine de Biran, with whom he becomes friends. These years were very rich, both from the spiritual and intellectual point of view. Moreover, Ampère was invited to take a course of philosophy at the Faculty of Letters in Paris in 1819 and 1820. In 1808, Ampère just remarried, unfortunately more for worse than for better. From this brief marriage, he will have a daughter, Albine, whom he never gives up. He was appointed Inspecteur Général des Universités and promoted to the rank of Professor of Analysis and Mechanics at the École Polytechnique. These numerous activities prevented him from undertaking further research in the physical sciences. In 1814, he is admitted to the Academy of Sciences in the geometry section. During this period, the Academy of Sciences is the best place to be for the best scientist. When Ampère is admitted there, he can meet many scientists like Arago, Monge, Laplace, Fourier, and 2 years later, Cauchy. In 1820, the publication of the account of Danish Ørsted experiment is a great simulation for Ampère. An electric wire carrying a current and placed near a magnetic needle causes the latter to deflect. So now the question is how to explain that. The difficulty is that it seems to be about electricity and magnetism together, which is totally new because until now both were separated. At the very beginning of the month of September 1820, the reading by François Arago in front of the member of the Academy of Sciences of a report of the experiment has an immediate effect on Ampère. He immediately tried to find a theoretical basis for this phenomena, and a few weeks later, just a few weeks, he laid the foundations for a theory of electrodynamics, which is therefore not yet electromagnetism, but which already constitutes its foundations. Ampère understands that the magnetization of a material results from the movement of an electric substance in this material. In addition to give a quantitative account of this observation carried out by Ørsted, he extends the field of his investigations. He creates new experiments in order to test his theoretical hypothesis. Among other discoveries, Ampère shows that a current loop, or a solenoid, behaves like a magnet, and that two portions of separate electric circuits with an electric current exert on them mutual interactions. This discovery will make possible to create the unit of measurement of an electric current in the International System of Units, the ampere. In 1826, he published the theory of electrodynamics phenomena deduced from experiments. In this publication, we can find the main results of main researches about this topic. All this work in electrodynamics make Maxwell, calling him later the Newton of electricity. In 1824, Ampère teaches experimental physics at the Collège de France and is 49 years old. In 1833, his son Jean-Jacques is also professor appointed to the Collège de France to teach literature. So at the same time, the son and the father teach together at the same institution, the Collège de France. Ampère's intellectual activity, however, goes far beyond the only domain of experimental sciences. It seems obvious that Ampère has always tried to make classification for all things, objects, or ideas. In this way, he publishes in 1834 an essay on the philosophy of sciences, in which he presents the great classification of all existing sciences and also not yet existing sciences. Ampère tries to make like a cartography of the capacities of the human mind. For instance, he imagines a new science which describes movement without talking about forces. He gives the name to this science, which is kinematics. In 1831, Ampère hosts to his home a student from Lyon. His name is Frédéric Ozanam, and he will be known later for having founded the Society de Saint-Vincent de Paul, which is a charity work. Frédéric Ozanam will be beatified in 1997 by the Pope Jean Paul II, and we know how much the testimony of Ampère has been very important in the faith of Ozanam. In 1836, during an inspection tour to south of France, Ampère becomes ill. He is at Marseille at the end of May, and its health state becomes worse. He passed away on June at the age of 61. In 1869, he is transported to the Montmartre Cemetery in Paris, where he rests along his son Jean-Jacques. Ampère is unquestionably one of the founders of electricity. But he is in fact a vastly greater talent that has tried to embrace all the human knowledge of its time. He always looked for truth with passion and in all domains of human mind. Ampère chemist contributed to the discovery of simple elements such as fluor. He understood shortly after the Italian scientist Avogadro, and quite independently, that under the same condition of temperature and pressure, the equal volumes of different gases contain the same number of molecules. Principle recognized by the scientific community under the name of Law of Avogadro-Ampère. Ampère, biologist, maintains rich correspondences with the greatest scientists in his field, such as Georges Cuvier. Ampère is also poet, linguist, philosopher, metaphysician. Ampère is also an attentive husband and father. Ampère faithful to his friends and attentive to his colleagues, willingly acknowledging their merits in the great discoveries. Those are all these facets of André-Marie Ampère that deserve our interest and our admiration. Thank you for your attention. Okay, so now we'll illustrate with the teaser the condition in which André-Marie grew up, and we'll give you a glimpse of the house and the museum of Ampère's family. So let's now consider the International Unit of Electric Current. As professionals of the electric sector, I am pretty sure that you use it nearly every day. But do you know the new definition we came into force in 2009? And do you know how it is now possible to realize it using quantic phenomena? That's what Mr. Wilfried Poirier will explain now. It will appeal to your knowledge of physics, but don't worry, you can review the video on the SIGRE website later. So the floor is now to Mr. Wilfried Poirier.
On the occasion of the bicentennial of electrodynamics, this presentation deals with the recent and significant evolution of the definition of the unit of electrical current, which is named after the physicist who clearly identified this physical quantity, André-Marie Ampère. We will see that the new definition, which is part of an historical evolution towards a system of units based on constant of physics, relies on the microscopic and quantum nature of the current. It is in 1820 that André-Marie Ampère discovered and explained the magnetic forces driven by the circulation of electrical currents. This gave rise to the famous Ampère force law, which links the force to electrical currents involving a constant mu naught, which is the magnetic constant of vacuum. This was a tour de force because at this time the microscopic nature of the current was not known. Its understanding came only at the end of the 19th century, on one hand with the discovery of the electron by Thomson as a quantized charge, and on the other hand with the understanding of the electromagnetic properties of vacuum synthesized by the Maxwell equation that notably involve the magnetic constant of vacuums and links it to the electric constant and light velocity constant. It is only from 1948 that the Ampère force law will be used to define the unit of electrical current. Till 2019, the ampere is defined as being that constant current which, if maintained in two straight parallel conductors of infinite length, of negligible circular cross-section, and placed 1 meter apart in vacuum, would produce between these conductors a force equal to 210⁻⁷ Newton per meter of length. The ampere is one of the 7 basic units of the SI. It was the first unit based on a fundamental constant of physics, mu naught, the value of which was fixed by the definition to be 4 pi 10⁻⁷ Henri per meter. Note that the next unit defined from a constant of physics was the meter in 1983 by fixing the value of the light velocity. Practically, the ampere was firstly realized by implementing balances comparing the force between two concentric coils on the weight of a mass in the gravity field. But the relative uncertainty achieved was never better than 10⁻⁶. Then, a better traceability of the electrical units was achieved by realizing rather the farad, the volt, or the ohm from the electric constant epsilon naught. But because the ampere was bound to the Newton by definition, all these realizations were also involving mechanical experiment, limiting uncertainty to about 10⁻⁷. The breakthrough in the realization of the electrical units came from the quantum revolution that led notably to the understanding of the transport properties of electrons. This revolution was initiated by Max Planck at the beginning of the 20th century by explaining the blackbody energy spectrum from the quantization of the energy in unit of hν, where h is the Planck constant and nu is the frequency of the light. Albert Einstein then explained that this is the energy of the light itself, which is quantized, and introduced the concept of particle-wave duality, and particularly the concept of photon of quantum energy hν. This concept was then generalized by Louis de Broglie by associating a wave to any particle. This can be done, for example, for a single electron to explain the diffraction, which is at the basis of the electronic microscopy. The picture below reveals the honeycomb network of carbon atoms in graphene. The properties of the electronic wave and the quantization of its energy can be determined from the Schrödinger equation proposed in 1925. Here are shown the wave function and the quantized energy levels of an electron in a nanometer size box. Two solid-state quantum effects have really revolutionized the electrical metrology. The quantum Hall effect, discovered by Klaus and Klitzin in 1980, occurs in bidimensional conductors submitted to a perpendicular magnetic field. The system can be realized from gallium arsenide heterostructure. Varying the magnetic field, this effect manifests at low temperature by the quantization of the transverse resistance, called the Hall resistance, at defined fraction of a constant Rk equal to h over e squared, where h is the Planck constant and E is the elementary charge. The Josephson effect occurs in junction between two superconductors irradiated by a radio frequency signal of frequency Hg. Varying the current, this effect manifests by the quantization of the voltage at multi-value of Hg over Kg, where Kg is equal to 2E over h. The picture shows an array made of several thousand of junctions to increase the generated voltage. These two effects allow realizing universal resistance and voltage, the values of which are only related to the fundamental constant of physics h and E, with a reproducibility better than 10⁻⁻⁰ as expressed in relative value. The impact of the quantum Hall effect and of the Josephson effect in electrical metrology was outstanding. Before their discovery, the relative dispersion of the realizations of the ohm and the volt by National Metrology Institute was of about 10⁻⁶. Now, the realization of primary resistance and voltage standards agree between them within relative uncertainty of a few 10⁻⁻10. Quantum effects have therefore brought a 3 orders magnitude improvement in the traceability of resistance and voltage measurements. However, as yet discussed, the electrodynamic-based definition of the ampere was imposing that the realization in SI units of the ohm and the volt, but also of all electrical units, were spoiled by additional larger uncertainty due to the implementation of mechanical experiment. In this case, the determination of the von Klitzin and Josephson constant Rk and Kg with a few 10⁻⁸ uncertainties. Limitation was solved by the recent revision of the SI, which is found on units defined from the fixing of fundamental constant, notably the Planck constant h and the elementary charge E, that are used to define the kilogram and the ampere respectively. Since 20 May of 2019, the new definition specifies that the ampere is defined by taking the fixed numerical value of the elementary charge E to be 1.602 etc. 10⁻19 when expressed in the unit coulomb, which is equal to ampere second. The ampere is therefore defined as the flow of electrons per unit of time. The current can therefore be expressed as the product of the elementary charge times the frequency. Moreover, the solid-state quantum theory is fully adopted, so the constant Rk and Kg have now fixed value given by h over e square and 2e over h respectively, without any uncertainties. The ohm and the volt can therefore be directly realized in SI units from the quantum Hall effect and the Josephson effect. We will now discuss the realization of the ampere from the frequency, either by applying the Ohm's law to the quantum Hall resistance and Josephson voltage standard, or by implementing single electron devices. Single electron devices aims at handling electrons one by one. They exploit the charge quantization that manifests in a small island isolated by tunnel junction in the Coulomb blockade regime. In fact, they operate as single electron pumps. The picture shows an example of a device based on a semiconductor wire crossed by two gates that define a small island. By varying the energy potential below the first gate with a radio frequency signal, it is possible to bring a single electron in the island and then eject it in the forward direction. This allows the generation of one electron by cycle, thus a current equal to the elementary charge times the frequency of the gate signal. As shown on the right graphs, such device can generate a current of 150 picoamp at a drive-on frequency close to 1 GHz. Despite the development of various technologies, single electron devices generate small currents with an accuracy which was demonstrated with uncertainty not better than 2⁻⁷. Moreover, their working remains not fully understood and is not reproducible at the present time. In principle, it is also possible to generate a quantized current in terms of the elementary charge by applying the Ohm's law to the quantum resistance and voltage standards. The Josephson voltage divided by the quantum Hall resistance give a current equal to the elementary charge times the Josephson frequency. But carrying out this realization with accuracy faces many technological difficulties. Recently at LNE, our group has achieved the development of a quantum current generator based on 3 quantum devices: a programmable Josephson voltage standard, a quantum Hall resistance standard, and a cryogenic amplifier equipped with a squid. It can generate quantized current of value from 1 microampere up to 10 milliampere. As an example, the graph below reports an on-off current series corresponding to the generation of a current of about 1.1 milliampere. We have recently demonstrated the quantization of the generated currents in terms of the elementary charge with a record 10⁻⁸ relative uncertainty. This graph reports a state-of-the-art of the relative uncertainties of the ampere realizations as a function of the current value. In green, the usual measurement capabilities claimed by National Metrology Institute, which are not better than 10⁻⁶. In blue, the uncertainties achieved by the best single electron devices at very low current values. In yellow, the uncertainties achieved by a new instrument recently developed by the German Institute of Metrology, the PTB. It improves the measurement traceability of small currents. Finally, in red, the record performances of the programmable quantum current generator developed by LNE. It clearly improves the measurement traceability of the ampere, typically by 2 orders of magnitude over a wide range of current values. This programmable quantum current generator can be used, for example, to calibrate commercial ammeters with record uncertainties, as shown on this graph. The concept of the generator is seminal, so one can also develop in the future a quantum ammeter or an AC quantum current generator. I would like to conclude saying that the recent improvement in the ampere realization opened the way to a new ampere metrology that could be as important and performant in the future as the metrology of the ohm or the volt. I would like to finish by evoking the development of a universal quantum calibrator, a GRAIL in electrical metrology. This device aims at combining the Josephson voltage standard and the quantum Hall resistance standard in a single system at 4 Kelvin to realize the volt, the ohm, the ampere and the farad from the constant H and E only. This objective is now achievable due to the availability of new technologies. The Josephson array voltage standards, the graphene-based resistance standards, which can operate at higher temperature and lower magnetic field than their gallium arsenide counterparts, new resistance and impedance bridges, and more practical and less costly cryogenic system operating without liquid helium. To conclude, I would like to insist saying that all these new developments and others that I have not discussed make sense thanks to the new definition of the ampere based on the elementary charge. Thank you for your attention.